Welcome to Ode to Games. I'm Logan Plant, joined today by Zach Rost. Hi, Zach.
Hello, Logan. Hello, Kevin. How's everyone doing?
Doing good. I am also here.
It's Kevin Boleen. Kevin Boleen's here. Hi,
I am
Kev.
here. How you doing, Logan?
Doing well. You know what's not doing well? Xbox's lineup for 2022.
For the last 10 years?
I know. Oh my goodness. Just a week after we were talking about how Starfield needs to have this big coming out party at the big Xbox Bethesda Summer Showcase on June 12th, Bethesda announced that Starfield and Redfall have both been delayed to the first half of 2023. So here's the tweet from Bethesda. We've made the decision to delay the launches of Redfall and Starfield to the first half of 2023. The teams at Arcane Austin, Redfall, and Bethesda Game Studios, Starfield, have incredible ambitions for their games, and we want to ensure that you receive the best, most polished versions of them. We want to thank everyone for their excitement for Redfall and Starfield. That energy is a huge part of what inspires all of us every day, blah, 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 blah. We can't wait to share our first deep dive into the gameplay for both Redfall and Starfield soon. Thank you for your support. And that leaves Microsoft with no first-party release for this fall. I don't think we're surprised about Redfall, given that they said that was going to come out this summer and we'd seen literally nothing. But Starfield, I know we also hadn't seen much of, but I
haven't seen anything.
I expected it to hit that date. I thought it was going to be like Fallout 4, where we didn't see anything until E3, and then it came out that November. But no, both delayed. And Kev, to me, nobody wants to be the next Cyberpunk, so pushing these big games out that are probably really buggy and not quite ready. I think we're going to see a lot more of it.
Well, with Starfield specifically, it's still crazy to me that they gave it that release date so far in advance.
A year ago.
Like, what was the point of that? Like, I know that they want to hit this special date, but from the beginning, that did not seem like a good idea. And now we're here and they have to delay it. And it's like, okay, we have not known anything about this game for so long. Still nothing. We had that logo reveal, and then we had that other, I don't even know how to call that. It was just kind of, a CGI trailer kind of showing off like a setting. That's all we've seen. We didn't need a date for that entire part of that. We have known nothing for that entire time. I feel like if they had not given a date or even a window, it wouldn't have been that bad. It's just confusing to me that they gave it that specific date so far in advance for it to then just be like, nope, we're going to delay it. But to be honest, neither of these caught me by surprise. Like, I know that we have past experience with Fallout where it could launch pretty soon after getting its big blowout. But in today's gaming industry, I just don't see that working out very well. Like, you need a much bigger runway than that. And we've seen so many games that have more substantial showcases and they still need years to come out. So I feel like we're in a different world than we were when Fallout 4 launched.
For the most part, right? There are games like Metroid Dread that are announced and they come out 4 months later. But I feel like every major studio, especially every major Western studio, just reveals their games way too early. Way too early.
Oh, yeah.
Well, Microsoft too, because they know they have nothing. And
they got to keep that hype alive.
Right. So what's going to happen with all these other games? I guess we don't know the dates. It's more so just that we know that they're in development and we don't know how long it's going to be, which can lead itself to its own set of problems. But yeah, I feel like they kind of shot themselves in the foot here, giving it a date, a specific date this early.
Yeah. And I think that the hype for Starfield is pretty large. So that fear of becoming Cyberpunk is probably very apparent in their minds. And I think that, Redfall, I don't know why they got pushed at the same time. I feel like they should have pushed Redfall to the end of 2022 and then put Starfield at the beginning of 2023 because now they're going to coincide. But yeah, I guess they'll come out around the same time.
First half of 2023, which could mean one game launches in January, February, and the other one launches at the start of summer.
Yeah, I think Redfall will probably still hit before Starfield.
You could
hopefully there's a good amount of space between them since then.
And if you're Microsoft, you want to do that. You don't want
you
don't want your two tentpole releases that you just had to push back so your 2022 lineup is threadbare. you don't want those things launching within, like 2 or 3 weeks of each other. I would assume that they're planning it out so that they can have at least 3-4 months in between, if not longer.
That's even
That's a pretty
assuming that
big
they both
delay.
make these windows. Like, who's to say
Yeah,
Starfield
that's
won't
true.
be delayed again and
Yeah.
come out next November? Like, yeah. I think that, man, wasn't one of my big predictions that the big 3 this year would all make it out, and now 2 of the 3 have already been delayed to next year, and now we're just waiting to hear on God of War. And
oh boy, God of War.
They're confident that God of War is coming out this
All
year.
right.
I have not seen anyone with shaky confidence over there at all.
But that's how it always is, right? It's always confident until the day they delay it. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
just kidding.
Exactly. So who knows?
Yeah, I've been
You
playing
really,
God of
you
War.
really don't know until they just drop these things on Twitter and like, oops.
Yeah. Whoopsies. Sorry that we announced the wrong date a year ago and had you all excited for nothing. And man, for a game like Starfield, people like take time off for these things. So they like book these in their calendars way far out in advance. It's like, you just can't do that anymore. You just can't do that with hard release dates until what? Like, feels like even like 2 weeks before.
They could still pull something. Yeah.
A month. It's happened like a month before. So I would say 2 weeks at the most.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Makes me more curious to see what this thing's going to be when I assume they're going to be showing it off in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still.
Because now it can look a little bit rougher. Like if they came out and they showed some stuff and it's like, oh my God, this is releasing in November. Oh my God. But now if it's like, okay, it could release anytime between now and, June, July of next year. Okay, we got some more time to sort some things out.
And you have to wonder the state of that game because Bethesda's Game Studios games are always buggy messes when they come out.
Yes, they are.
That's kind of like part of the brand of these things. And so it must be in pretty rough shape for them to even push it out of its release and say, no, this is even too buggy for our standards. To come out because they are massive games. Like obviously, there's going to be bugs. These things they're huge, so it's understandable. But I do want to know what it looks like right now. That had to lead to this delay.
Well, it's also like a new IP with assumedly a bunch of new concepts that are not in Fallout and Elder Scrolls, which has been their wheelhouse for the last decade plus. So, I mean, that kind of adds to the weight of it. Not to the same level of Cyberpunk, but you kind of look at that where they're working on The Witcher and then they completely switch course to something different, and that can bring a lot more headaches than you might think at the beginning.
Which is another thing, right? Like we talked about the Fallout example. Fallout 4 got criticized for how similar it was to Fallout 3, so it makes sense that they were able to just crank that one out a little bit faster than creating this entirely new universe from scratch. But
and they're also working on new engines now after all the complaining about the decades old engines that they've been using for games. That's another thing, they have to work on this new engine and make it all work. That takes more time than if you're just, dumping it into what you've been working with for the last however many years.
Yeah. Xbox, man, it's
for Xbox, it's not good.
We got to get to a point where I feel like every year since the late half of the Xbox One cycle, we've been like, well, all right, Xbox has had some pretty good shows, some pretty good showcases. But none of the games have come out. Like, almost none of them have actually come out. You could even argue Halo Infinite hasn't fully come out. And
that
now it's like,
delayed.
It's been rough.
Xbox needs to switch to kind of the second part of things, which is when these games actually start to have dates that they consistently hit before you can say that Xbox's comeback has fully been complete. Because right now we have all these promises, all these acquisitions, all these announcements, but man, is there like some sort of management problem going on within Microsoft or nothing's coming out? Like, how do you plan that where in your second full year of a console, you have nothing for the fall? Like, man, last year was good. Last year was good with Forza and Halo. I will give them that. But then this year has just been barren from Xbox Game Studios. And man, this stuff has to start coming out. Next year could be big, but I feel like we say that every year. It's like, when is the year going to be that these things actually start making it out the door instead of getting delayed or pushed back or whatever? It's crazy.
I mean, I guess we'll see when it comes to the showcase in a month, because I think a lot rides on that. If we're seeing a lot more of the standard Xbox fare of just CGI trailers and a couple of, world premieres or whatever they do with these new games. I feel like it's going to be more of the same. That's why it's really important that at that showcase, they bring games and actually bring the games to show and bring some sort of gameplay so you can get a feel of what these games actually are and have a little bit more confidence that you're going to see them within the next year. Because they haven't been doing that the last couple of years. And you kind of gave them a pass because it's like, okay, they've been buying studios, getting acclimated, they're starting new projects. But I feel like that's starting to run a little bare now. I feel like we're at the point where it's like, all right, we got to start seeing actual gameplay of these things and have an idea of when they're going to be coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the state of Xbox. 2 big delays in the last week. Seriously, right after we recorded it. Felt like last week this news
was
came
pretty
down.
quick after.
Yeah.
We're pretty good at that.
Yeah. Some other news from this week. Fall Guys is finally going fully free to play. The rumors have been out there for a very long time about this. And it is also launching on Xbox, Nintendo Switch, Epic Games Store, and a native PlayStation 5 version on June 21st. So just over a month away for this new free-to-play version of Fall Guys. They're totally revamping all of the monetization and level path mechanics. There's going to be a battle pass that you'll have to pay for a premium version of, so it's very much like Fortnite now that it's under the Epic Games umbrella. It's the beginning of Season 1.
It's going to get confusing, everybody. We're going to be playing Season 1 of Fall Guys.
Yeah, it's called Free for All, which is a nice double entendre there since it's free for all.
For fall.
Free for fall. I like that too. Fully cross-play,
except it's
full cross-progression. So
or Fall Guys, I guess.
If you want to play on Switch, pick it up on Switch instead of PlayStation. You can get all of your costumes and everything over there. New currency called Showbucks used to purchase the season pass. They showed off some new levels too. It's like a sports stadium theme. They showed things on a track, a new version of volleyball, a new finale that's kind of looks like hot potato, where you have these bombs that you have to place in these holes. And also they announced this thing that for everybody that already owns Fall Guys, you get the first premium battle pass for free for Season 1 and this other package with a bunch of costumes. They're going to be exclusive to kind of as a thank you for playing the paid version over the last couple of years. Does that qualify to people who already got the game for free on PlayStation Plus?
Yeah.
Unknown.
Because that's a lot of people, I think.
That's a vast amount of people.
Yeah. I think it probably will. But yeah, good to see this finally from Fall Guys. It was in a 25-minute digital event. They also teased a level creator at the end, which I am super excited for.
Very cool.
A Mario Maker type level creator where you can place any objects you want as long as you don't exceed the weight limit. And then it showed little Fall Guys. You have to complete the level before you can publish, which means this isn't just for local. This is for online upload. You'll be able to try other people's levels. That is not coming out alongside Season 1. That is further down the line. But
they said it might be a while.
Yeah, but super cool to know that's coming. Really excited about this kind of new branding of Fall Guys. We, personally speaking, have not played really at all since we earned that trophy and we maxed out the
that kind of sucks. We were pretty confident that we were going to keep playing. We love Fall Guys. We're going to keep playing. But then once we got that, our motivation did die down and we did move towards other stuff. So I'm really excited for this to revitalize the game for not only us, but for a whole wide audience. And there's going to be a bunch of people playing. So it'll probably be easier to earn crowns. And speaking of which, crowns are no longer a currency. A good thing for veteran players is that your current amount of crowns will transfer over to, I believe, the new currency. They'll
be the kudos. It'll go. Kudos are going to be a bigger deal now. Yeah.
It'll transfer over to kudos. So having a big stockpile of crowns like Logan and I currently do, it's not going to be a waste of crowns because we've been saving them for outfits that have not come out. So very excited to get back into Fall Guys because I do miss it.
Yeah, what do you think, Kev?
I mean, I think it's big that one, it's going free to play and it's finally getting to these other platforms. With a game like Fall Guys, you really need that big audience of players when you need to fill these huge lobbies. So I think that's going to be big, bringing in a lot of new players and probably bringing back some old players. when you have new content as well. I think that level editor, whenever it does come out, will be big, because then that means that like you guys, if you finished the main stuff of the season and you've played a lot of the levels that are there and you're like, all right, I'm kind of done with this stuff, you've still got other stuff to do, other new stuff to do while you're waiting for whatever comes next in the next season, which I think could increase the longevity of the game while people are waiting for seasons. Maybe give the developers a little bit of wiggle room to pad out these seasons, and I think that'll be big whenever it does come out. But
I think they said that the pass that you pay for is roughly 100 levels long. Yeah, which is like twice as much as they've been doing on the free every season. So it should take a good amount of time to get through that. But I believe that the progression from level to level isn't exponential anymore. It's just consistent from every level. So it's the same amount of star points, XP. I don't even know what you call them in Fall Guys, just to get from level to level. So we have been getting to 50 pretty quickly. So I can't imagine that 100 would take a crazy amount of time, but it should keep players relatively busy if they do decide to buy the pass. And I think there's still a path for free, but it's only smaller.
Yeah, so if they have like a big crossover, which they announced a couple more, they've got another Godzilla crossover. They've got Ezio from Assassin's Creed is coming into Fall Guys.
Sure.
I think like big crossover ones like that will probably be exclusive to the premium pass that you have to pay for. Zach, I wanted to ask, are you going to pay for the premium battle pass in each season? You get it for free in season 1, presumably, but what about beyond that?
They didn't really give an indication on how much it's going to cost. Like, I would love to support Fall Guys, and I'm probably going to buy the pass. But if it's like $25 a pass, which I highly doubt it's going to be crazy like that, but who knows, given how long the seasons are. I feel like $10 is also the standard, and it's a good amount for how infrequently these seasons come out. If it's around the $10 mark, yes, probably, because I like supporting Fall Guys, and I want it to be successful and supported continuously, and they need money to do that. So
yeah, I'm curious to see what this will do, how long the seasons will be. We are in a big drought right now. Season 6 came out in October, so it has been like 7 months since there's been new stuff. Was there even a mid-season update? Oh, Sweet Thieves was the mid-season update. So the new game mode that was limited time and is now gone. So yeah, I'm curious to see how long the seasons are. I think another big thing is that if this is going to bring in a lot of people back, Fall Guys numbers dropped off like crazy during season 1, like crazy. So people coming back, there's going to be like 30 new games that they've never seen. Like the number of games has over doubled since what they played back in season 1. There's just way more variety just because the game has been out for 2 years. And I think that that'll keep a lot of people around, because season 1 did get old after a while. It was like, all right, egg scramble, fall ball again. But now there's
playing soccer like back to back to back.
Now there's way more to do. They also have fully removed team games from the main show, which I'm torn on. I'm not sure how I feel about that. They're totally gone from main show. They're only in like the squads modes or other alternate shows. And then the new games looked cool. Being free to play is a big deal. Being on Switch is a huge deal. Only runs at 30 FPS on Switch, but still being on Switch, that's going to be a big deal, I think. As things like Among Us, Fortnite are always in like the top 10 on most downloaded on the charts on Switch. And I think Fall Guys could easily slot into that. So I'm hoping this is a big resurgence. I think it's smart they're going back to season 1 and just kind of starting over with this. And yeah, I'm excited for next month to hop into the new games, because to us, it's mostly probably just going to feel like a new season, like new games to hop in and try out. But I'm hoping that there's a lot of new people.
They can play the native PS5 version.
Yes,
that'll feel
that's
a little
exciting.
bit different.
Yeah. 4K Fall Guys.
Yeah. 4K beans.
It really needs that. It's so detailed. It's uber detailed.
Oh yeah, it looks like garbage right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised you guys are still playing it.
And I probably will try it on Switch. The 30 FPS probably means I'll stick to mostly playing on PlayStation, but there have been times, why not? And cross progression automatically updates are safe. There's times where I'd like rather play in handheld mode, like if I've got a baseball game on the TV or something. So I can see myself playing on Switch occasionally, but yeah, I hope we get some Nintendo costumes crossover. Probably not. Nothing like that's come to Fortnite, but Fall Guys is a less violent game. You don't want like Mario holding like a real assault rifle in Fortnite. So I could see some Nintendo stuff coming to Fall Guys. Maybe Master Chief too. I know that he came to Fortnite. I'm pretty sure.
I think he did.
Once
Yes.
it was on Xbox.
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I hope that we see some more crossover potential now that it's on every platform. But excited for Fall Guys Season 1. We gotta come up with how we're distinguishing the old numbering system from the new one.
Let's just never talk about old Fall Guys again. Let's pretend
Okay.
it didn't exist.
It didn't exist.
I'm excited for
This is
this
the
new game
relaunch.
coming out,
This
Fall
is-
Guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Are you
All that
excited,
stuff.
Zach? Are you excited for your third plat to pop when you download the native PS5 version and get
Oh
all
my
those
god,
trophies
I
again?
don't want 3
Yeah, 'cause-
Fall Guys
yeah.
Platinums padding my numbers.
They released a new launcher, and then they're going to have to release an entirely new version.
Uh-huh.
Oh my god.
I'm
That's gonna
excited
be
to
fun.
have four total platinum trophies. 3 of them are going to be from Fall Guys.
Yay. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Speaking of PlayStation, they have announced more of the lineup for the new PlayStation Plus subscription service that's coming out in the US starting June 13th and other territories like next week, I think, like end of the month. US is getting a little bit later than some places, but there's a bunch of new games in there. Should I read the whole list? How should we do this? I don't want to go about this. I'll read some of the highlights.
I
There
think
you
there's too
go.
many to go through all
Yeah,
of them.
There's
We'll be
quite
here
a
all day.
few.
There are like Death Stranding Director's Cut PS5, Demon Souls PS5, Everybody's Golf is in there, which I was
Great game.
surprised.
Isn't
by
that?
'cause
Didn't
it
they
was
cut
like
the online?
delisted. Yeah, or they cut the online, which that game is mostly online. Bloodborne, Ghost of Tsushima's Director's Cut for PS4 and PS5, a God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn, Miles Morales on PS4 and PS5. So there's a lot of good stuff in here. The entire Uncharted series, except for Golden Abyss, is in there.
Oh.
There's also a bunch of third-party games like Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Control Ultimate Edition, Guardians of the Galaxy, Red Dead Redemption 2, and then there's some classic games also, Ape Escape, Tekken 2. There's like one PSP game I saw people talking about at launch, which is kind of insanity. And then there are PS3 streaming games, which includes a handful of Ratchet and Clank games, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2. That made
Let's
me
go.
think of that because I know he played the
Lords of
first
Shadow
one.
1.
Infamous 1 and 2, Red Dead Undead Nightmare. And
Is
then
that just Red Dead Undead Nightmare? Is that not?
Yeah,
Red
you can
Dead
only play as
Redemption?
zombies.
I would assume Red Dead is also there, but I don't know.
And then they also announced the games that they're getting a 2-hour trial for, which is exclusive for premium members, which seems like a miss to me. I think everybody should be able to try a game for free to spend money on. But that includes Legacy of Thieves for Uncharted, Horizon Forbidden West, Cyberpunk, which already has its own free trial, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, Farming Simulator 22, and
Yeah.
WWE 2K22. So it's not all of the like brand new releases, but I gotta say, there's some good stuff on here. This is a little bit better of a lineup than I was expecting. Like, I think this is a pretty strong lineup for launch. I think having some of these PS5 versions of things like Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima is a little better than I thought it was going to be. So, yeah, I'm satisfied with this lineup. I still don't think I'm going to subscribe just because most of the games I care about I already own. But
That's kind of where I'm at right now. I was planning on subscribing, but after looking at that list, I own a good amount of those games already. So I don't think it's worth it at this point. But once more stuff starts getting added, I might reconsider.
The legacy content. Yeah, I mean, it looks like anything that's over a year old is pretty much fair game.
Yeah.
To come out here, which, I mean, yeah, it is still disappointing that you're not getting day and date releases, but I mean, a year isn't too bad. On the other side of it, though, yeah, if there's a big PlayStation game that I want to play, I'm probably getting it around launch. And these other ones, there's like one or two. It's like, oh, I want to play Ghost of Tsushima or I want to play Miles Morales. I'll probably just buy those at this point.
Death Stranding?
Not Death Stranding.
What?
They have been a little bit stingier with the sales, though, so maybe they're trying to push you towards the subscription service now, because I know that as we got on later on into the PS4's life cycle, those games got dirt cheap, and we have not gotten anywhere close to that. I feel like the lowest I've been seeing them go is around like 40 for the most part. And it doesn't help that they're all launching at 70 now. So, that is a little bit more to go down to get down into that cheap area. But yeah, for me, I think most of these games I would either pick up on launch or not really need the subscription service to play. But I'm sure that there's a lot of people that don't really mind waiting, and instead of buying the games outright, they can just play them here. And if they're interested at all in legacy content, there seems to be at least a decent amount on launch.
Yeah, absolutely. Returnal's in there too. But then there's some random misses. Like Last of Us and Left Behind are in there, but then Last of Us 2, which is 2 years old, just didn't make it. Like, and then you have the entire Uncharted series. So like there's a ton of Naughty Dog stuff, but then no Last of Us 2, which I think is interesting. But yeah, I overall think it's a strong lineup. What I'm curious to see though is how much is this going to change over time? Like, is there going to be new stuff every month? Because you got to try and get people to re-up those subscriptions and stay interested. But then I look at something like the PS Plus collection on PS5, which just lost Persona 5, was the only change to that entire thing after a year and a half. So I'm curious to see how this is going to evolve over time, because I think this is a strong start, but if it just stays like this for months and months, then I think that's going to be a problem.
Well, they were pretty consistent about new games for PS Now. From what I saw, obviously I wasn't paying super close attention, but I would see alerts seemingly with, every month or so that there were some new games being launched on there, kind of like what Game Pass is doing. So as long as they kind of go that route, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I would hope that with all the work they're putting into this, that they have a little bit more of a long game plan for it than they did with the PS Plus collection.
You would hope.
Yeah. So it doesn't seem like it's going to work for us, but I think a lot of people are going to subscribe up to this tier. So we'll have to see how that goes and changes over time. If you ever give me day one releases on this service, I'm in. I'll be in.
And they won't.
Is totally worth it.
Nope. They will not.
Yeah. But I'll just stick with what I got for now. I already have Game Pass Ultimate.
And I love it.
And Switch expansion. Just add GameCube games.
Did you get Switch expansion?
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
I've thought about it, but I want those. I want GameCube games.
You're not getting them. It's not happening.
No, it would be sad. All right, let's get into Nintendo real quick, because in their recent investors meeting, they said that the Switch successor is a concern for them to avoid the same mistakes that they made during the Wii U era. So
that's a bygone era.
It is a bygone era.
Yeah, they're shutting it down.
Yeah.
It's sad. Oh, you only have like 4 days to add funds via
credit card. Yep.
By the way,
next I got everything I needed.
I got to do that.
Again, if you have your accounts paired, you can add funds to your Switch account, and then they carry over to the 3DS. And if you do that, then that also means that you get gold points for your purchases on 3DS from 3DS to Switch. So you get gold points on Switch. Yeah. I was testing it out this week. So make sure to link your account, even if you're not planning on adding the money over to use, the Switch wallet for the 3DS. If you pair them over and you use the credit card, you'll still get the gold points on Switch. So.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, get on that because you're running out of time.
Tip.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're talking about the Switch successor here. Here's a couple quotes from Nintendo president Shintaro Furukawa, who says, "Looking back on past experiences of generational change, such as the change from the Wii and Nintendo DS eras, we recognize that one of our tasks is ensuring the transition to future generations of hardware is as smooth as possible. We are focusing on building long-term relationships with our consumers through Nintendo accounts. While continuing to release new Nintendo Switch software for consumers to enjoy, we aim to maintain relationships across hardware generations through services that utilize Nintendo accounts and by providing opportunities for them to experience our IP through other non-gaming channels." And I just want to kick this off, guys, by saying I think it's a lot simpler than that. Just call it Switch 2 and people know what it is and people will buy it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's how you avoid every mistake from the Wii U era. It was just the name. Just call it Switch 2. Push it out the door, and I think it'll be fine. That's where I'm
So
at.
You think if it was called the Wii 2, it would have been one of the best selling consoles of all time?
Or Wii HD. I think would have been a
WH2.
good name for the Wii U.
That would have been good.
But yeah, the Wii U. Even you look back at the logo, the Wii U logo. The U is like this weird square with the U cut into it. You can't even really tell it's part of it. So if you're a casual consumer just looking at it, so man, just call it the Switch 2. And yeah, I admire you're trying to grow your IP outside of gaming. I mean, theme parks, movies, toys. You walk into a toy aisle, there's more Mario stuff than I have ever seen in my life. When we were growing up, there were no Nintendo toys just at the toy aisle of like a Target or a Walmart. Now they're everywhere. So I think it's all smart stuff. But if you're worried about avoiding the same mistakes, just call it the Switch 2. I think it's as simple as that.
Make it crystal clear that it is the next iteration, not some.
Yep.
It's not the Switch OLED. It's the Switch 2, not the new Nintendo Switch or some other bogus name. It really is quite simple. Yeah, just make it crystal clear that this is the next Switch and not some sort of half step or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what do we think about this other part of the quote about expanding services through Nintendo accounts? Because I look at it and I'm like, man, I feel like they're kind of doing almost less than the bare minimum that they need to with the Nintendo services and Nintendo accounts. Like the online is not very good. The drip feed of virtual console games is exhausting to follow. But Kirby 64 finally just came to the N64 app. Like, I'm not really sure what they mean about trying to keep people up through their Nintendo accounts and connected to the company that way.
Because you're not connected to your old consoles anymore. Those are dying off.
True.
Yeah, I don't know. They did a big redesign for My Nintendo, which is paired to your Nintendo account, but they really didn't talk about it that much. And because not many, the main way you figured that out, I felt like back in the day, was you opened up your physical copy and right there in the manual section, they had like a My Nintendo or a Club Nintendo like ad.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're not really keeping up with Nintendo stuff, you probably have no idea that stuff even exists. And I feel like that's one of the big things of specifically your Nintendo account. I'm trying to think of like other. I mean,
Switch
I guess
Online. I mean, they do keep adding. They just added the Octo expansion to the expansion pack. So proof they are willing to go back and add old DLC continues. I really like that move. Octo expansion's great. Play it, by the way. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly what they mean by expanding the value of a Nintendo account to keep people, because I guess I think of like smartphones and it's like you've abandoned your smartphone game strategy. Like there's nothing for me to use my Nintendo account on outside of your systems. So I'm not sure what they're trying to plan there to keep brand loyalty up and just make people feel compelled to hop from the next system to the next one.
I mean, I guess it could just be as simple as, oh, we're going to keep on investing in Nintendo Switch Online and adding new tiers or new content or whatever. It really could be that simple. Maybe that is kind of the main tentpole thing of this account talk, is just more content there.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But I think you just launch with good games and you give it a good name. And I think the people will come. I think that something I was thinking about is that I think that Wii and Switch are in very different places 5 years in from each other. I think Wii people were tired of it 5 years in. They were tired of the gimmicks. They were tired of standard definition. And they were ready to move on. Except Zach. They're ready to move on 5 years in.
I was a child.
I don't feel that way about Switch. I feel like there is a sect of people who are ready for better specs from their Switch, but no one is tired of the Switch brand. No one is like, we need a big departure, a big change from Nintendo. I think people would be good with just a Switch 2 as the next thing. I think it would need to be significantly spec'd up to do super well, but no, I don't even actually think that. I think that it would still sell like crazy, even if it was just kind of a spec half step. I'll take that back. But I don't think there's the exhaustion of the Wii brand like there was back then. And then Wii U came and they're like, we're doing this again. Like if Switch 2 was the next thing, I feel like people would be excited about it. Whereas Wii 2, I think people were kind of like, God, yeah, I'm ready for the next big thing. And we see that through game sales too, right? This is something Kevin and I have talked about a lot in the past, is that these late year Wii games didn't sell well, like at all. Like Skyward Sword, Kirby's Return to Dreamland, like stuff that came out post 5 years, didn't sell. That's not happening at all with Switch. I mean, look at Pokemon Legends. That thing just
Better
sold
than ever.
12 million in like 2 months. Kirby just sold really, really well to get started too. So that's not a problem right now. So yeah, I think the Switch brand is strong. And that's the thing I want most of all, is for them to just keep it simple this time. Don't lose us 100 million people again, like you did 10 years ago. Just, yeah, I think I love when Nintendo's weird and wacky and does new things with their hardware. But I think right now, sticking with Switch is the right move.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, people are still very interested in it. Although I do wonder how many people will be wanting to jump over right away. I think some people are quite content with what they have. There's obviously a decent group of people that would hop onto whatever Nintendo does next, or are ready for something that's a little bit more souped up. But I feel like there is a decent contingent of people who are probably just fine with what they have.
OLED
so then
owners,
it's a matter
probably.
of a what?
Switch OLED owners, they're probably not ready yet.
No,
I mean, just people who play it more casually. And, I know people that are like that. And so it's like, the question is how big of the base is that, and what would it take to bring them over to the next console, or how long would that take? I think that they have the benefit of, honestly, of having Pokemon on this thing, because Pokemon was always handheld. And with the way that thing sells, I think by the time the next Pokemon game will come out, that would push at least a decent number of people, both hardcore people that were already going to buy it anyways, and less hardcore people that mainly play Pokemon, to get the next one if that's what they need to play it on. I think
which could be a couple years down the line, because Pokemon Company always kind of lagged behind one gen. Like Black and White came out when the 3DS was already out, and then Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon came out when the Switch was already out. So they always kind of like hang back by 1 to 2 years to let more people pick it up before they move the series over. But you're right, whenever it does, it'd be huge, just automatically. Like Pokemon, I think, will always move units.
That could bring the stragglers over. But this is a completely different audience than it was with the Wii. I think you have a more dedicated group, and I think the game sales show that. But that doesn't mean that transitioning people over to the next thing is going to be easy. I'm sure that it'll sell out really easily within that first year. And then after that, you have to have a plan to bring some of these people over who may be content with what they have for now.
Yeah, like a new F-Zero. That'll be a big system seller, right?
Oh, yeah. That'll get all the casuals over.
Yep.
Yeah, so this branches into our Ode 2 to take a quick break from news and talk about our Ode 2 for the week.
Yeah, so Ode 2 for this week is a Switch 2. That's what we're going to be calling this. I hope it's called that. A Switch 2 wish list. So
Switch Plus.
This is going to be more on the system side of things, not necessarily on the game side. I think that we'd love to have a solid launch lineup. I think that goes without saying, although that will be interesting to watch, because when the Switch was coming out, they had abandoned the Wii U so long ago that they were able to get things out the door pretty quick. That will be a question, what the game library would be in that first year. But for this, I think we're just going to stick to the system itself, not necessarily the new games. And I think the biggest one started off, we've talked about this before, backwards compatibility with the original Switch has to be there. I think. Yeah. That's kind of a no-brainer, because I think they're also going to be doing the same concept of cross-generation titles, at least for that first year or two. And I think you got to have backwards compatibility, especially if it's Switch 2.
I want cross-gen titles for a year. I think that is the way. I think we're starting to see the well run dry on that on PlayStation. Like we talked about last week, the new, what's it called? Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights got its last-gen versions canceled, so we're starting to run out on that, but it worked well for a little over a year there, so I do want to see that. Maybe it'll even be like maybe they would do like a DS, 3DS thing where they added a little nubbin on the end of the 3DS cart so you couldn't cram it in your DS. But yeah, as long as I can still get my Switch cartridges in whatever this next thing is, I think that's a necessity. And I'm sure it'll be there, because the only times it hasn't been there for Nintendo is when they've switched formats from cartridge to disc and then from disc back to cartridge. So yeah, I think there's no chance that it won't be there.
Nintendo's been quite good with backwards compatibility in the past. So At least with one generation back, they're usually pretty good about it.
The further away we get from the DS, the crazier it is that it had a literal second slot for the last gen cartridge. Like, what is that?
So good.
That's so crazy.
I mean, I think that's because they were kind of worried about it. That's when they were still talking about like, oh, Game Boy Advance is also a part of this future for us. And then they're just like, well, we'll try the DS and see what happens. And then it sells really well. I'm like, all right, goodbye, Game Boy.
Yeah, it's
moving on to the DS.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. And how once you got to the light, it didn't even fit. Like it feels out of place when you stick the cartridge in there and it sticks out from the bottom.
Yeah.
Like I'm glad it was still there, obviously, but it didn't really always fit perfectly there.
Yeah.
Some smaller things, menu themes. I'd like to see them come back. More menu character. Like I've been booting up my 3DS a little bit more. Because we're running out of time on that, but buying some games and, just the level of customization you have with that main menu area is something that I'd like to see come back because here getting into the folders as well, better integrated folders, the ability to create the folders and have them on that main screen, maybe even being able to have multiple rows instead of just the one, just more customization, I think would be appreciated on the menu.
I agree. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
That we're 5 years in and it still looks like that. Yeah, and the folders, have you guys used it once? I used it on the first day to like see what it did, and then I forgot it existed until I saw that Kevin wrote better folders on this list. I'm like, okay,
I haven't used it either. I was making folders on my 3DS.
Yeah, that's weird. I do use the folder feature on my 3DS, but I completely forgot about it on Switch. I guess I just haven't.
I think it just
really
needs to be on that main menu.
You have to jump through hoops to get to the folders, which defeats the purpose of the folders.
Right.
Yep.
Like you can go back and then hit your game library section, but I don't go into my game library all that much. I'm usually on that main row of games. So the odds of me going into the game library for folders is less. So I think more integration there. Another feature from the 3DS that needs to come back, a better play log tracker. Oh my God. The stupid 20 game list that only gives you an average when they have the data because they give it to you at the end of the year as part of the recap. They know how long you played games.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Bring
it back to the level of depth that was there on the 3DS where it's like, here, you played 2 hours of this game on this specific day. Like, that was always so cool. So 3DS features to bring back. One thing that I would like to have, this is not necessarily the system, but controller, a headphone jack on the Pro controller. I'm kind of baffled that it wasn't there and that it never showed up. Like, I know that we're getting into the area of like Bluetooth, but I mean, I feel like that's still a necessity.
Didn't the Switch just get Bluetooth?
Yeah. A few months ago. Yeah.
A few months ago.
It was pretty late on that boat too. But yeah, I'm still kind of surprised that we haven't gotten any sort of headphone jack support for the controllers.
Speaking of controllers, I got a big one. You got to get a permanent fix for Joy-Con drift.
Oh yeah,
they got to figure out that with the Joy-Con 2.0. It's got to happen.
How's the OLED been doing?
I've never had Joy-Con drift. I've never
on anything.
No, literally.
I've had it on both sets of Joy-Cons I've gotten. One of them has gotten such bad Joy-Con drift that it's almost unusable.
Zach's having a good
I hate
run.
it.
I have weirder issues where I just have a couple Joy-Con that like to disconnect all the time, and so sometimes there's like crazy input delay.
You know what's
like, it'll
what's
freak
funny
out. What
is that on the original set of Joy-Cons that I have, the blue one and the red one that I got with the console back in 2018, the blue one is the one that drifts, but now my red one starts disconnecting.
Oh my gosh.
So you can't have a perfect one. They got to have different problems.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky about that. I've had some weird things with my Joy-Cons happen every once in a while in the past year or so, but I don't play in handheld too often, so it hasn't been that big of a deal. But yeah, that has to be fixed. And that's another thing where I'm baffled that it hasn't been fixed yet, especially when you're doing multiple iterations. When you have the Switch, you have the new model of the Switch, Switch Lite, and the Switch OLED, and it's still an issue. Like that needs to be sorted out. All right, let's get into performance. So this is what I want. I'll get your guys' opinion on this. So I know that they're talking about 4K upres, and I think that'd be a cool feature to have. But for me personally, I want consistent 1080p docked and consistent 720p handheld.
60 FPS?
60 FPS would be great.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's just hitting those benchmarks because we kind of have those already. But man, you get some of these games in handheld mode, and it's like, yeah, we're doing 500p. We're
The
we're
Witcher 3
here
on Switch. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it'd be great to have the 4K upres option, whatever that turns into. But for me personally, I think just a consistent 1080p and 720p with 60 FPS would be heaven. I'd love that.
It would make it a lot better to port those kinds of games like The Witcher to Switch, because I don't understand why they're porting them now, because the Switch clearly has a hard time handling those types of games. So that would make it a lot better in the future if people are Switch exclusive owners and they want to play those kinds of games, to actually feel the need to dive into those ports. So in the future, who knows? But yes, going back, we recently played Monster Hunter Rise, and I was starting to notice the frame rate, which I have never done before, but I've been playing a lot of PS5, so my eyes are starting to notice when something's not 60 FPS now, and it's a little annoying. Yeah.
Logan, your thoughts on performance?
I think we're going to see a 1080p handheld. I think that we're going to see that
1080p handheld.
Now, will we actually see the games running in 1080p?
I think we'll see Nintendo games running in 1080p. I don't know about third-party games, but yeah, I think that I guess I find it hard pressed to see a 720p panel come out in 2024 or whatever. I think it'll be a 1080p.
Yeah.
And then for docked, I'm hoping for like a tier down of what we see on PS5, where we see like, okay, you can play in 1440p at 60 FPS or true 4K at 30. I think we're going to see like you can play in 1080 at 60 FPS and then maybe like 1440p at a lower frame rate or something like that. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think we're going to see a full 4K. I do hope we see the upres, kind of like what the PS4 Pro did, what the Series S does. But yeah, I think we can just get 1080p consistent across the board.
That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, it'll be good. Yeah, 1080p still looks good. I know we got.
It looks great.
It does. It absolutely does.
1080p is
100%.
fine.
Yeah, it's like you said. I noticed frame rate way more than I noticed the difference between 1080p and 4K. Like,
how about you, Kev? Are you playing? Did you play Horizon on frame rate or performance? Or sorry, performance or fidelity?
We were talking. I think we were talking about this before. I don't have a 4K TV, so it is literally worse in every single way.
Yep.
But I did try it, and you know, resolution aside, the fact that it's not going to be like super clear resolution, it just chugs in comparison. Like it is very noticeable swapping back and forth. So even if I had a 4K TV that had those higher res textures, I think it was going to play that way regardless of if I had a better TV or not. Just in terms of how slow it played, I don't think I could. 60 FPS is so much nicer.
It is.
So if that's what they shoot for, rather than like super high fidelity, I am totally okay with that.
Absolutely.
And one more thing I want to throw in, I want on the Switch too, is I want the form factor of the OLED. I talked about how much more I like it compared to the kickstand that takes up the entire back of the thing, the thinner bezels where the screen takes up almost the entire real estate. It's just so much nicer than the original. So to kick it off with that form factor, instead of giving us something that's like could be improved upon and then will be improved upon a few years down the line, I would hope that they just start with this OLED design as a base, because it's really much better. The kickstand that also goes all the way around, so it's not just the kind of useless kickstand that's on the original.
Provide built-in Ethernet too. Some of the features that came in with OLED should be standard for whatever comes next. Much increased storage, much more than what the OLED already provided. I think.
I wonder if it'll be an OLED panel or if it'll go back to LCD for this first iteration. Because that'd be weird for people that have the OLED to then jump back to an older screen.
I would hope that it's standard at that point.
Yeah.
The technology gets cheaper as you go along. You know, if this thing comes out in 2 years' time,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you
I would
can
hope so.
you can sell that a little bit
1080p
easier.
OLED screen. That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said don't want to talk about games, but bring back F-Zero. Bring back F-Zero.
All that matters.
I know. Okay, I'll say I want an F-Zero Special Edition Switch too, so I keep it to the hardware that launches alongside the new F-Zero.
Oh my god.
But yeah, have a good launch for it. That will be it'll be a completely different situation than they had with the original Switch, where they could just cut off support for the Wii U and just go full on with the Switch. This is going to be completely different, where you've got the Switch with all of its players already on there, and you're going to have to navigate cross-generation games and trying to bring people over. So it'll be a new thing for them.
And I think we mentioned this before, not to mention, not only did they abandon the Wii U software in like its final year and a half, they also, for the first 2 to 3 years, had a significant catalog of Wii U remasters
That's
to
true
rely
too.
on to fill out
Yeah.
the lineup. So it's going to be a much taller challenge than it was last time to fill out a really strong first year like they had. Because we look at things like Mario Kart 8, Splatoon 2 in the first year. Even Breath of the Wild was developed as a Wii U game the entire time. It's like they leaned on that thing hard for the first year. So I am curious to see what's going to happen when they launch the next one. But we've talked about Metroid Prime 4 probably being a key example of what a cross-gen game could be. I wouldn't be surprised if that's already in the works. And then I feel pretty good about saying that we'll see a Mario Kart in the first year.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Going back to like Splatoon, it is still kind of interesting to me that they did decide to bring Splatoon 3 out on the Switch. I felt like that could have worked even as like a cross-gen game.
Yeah.
Like you bring that to Switch and Switch 2, like that'd be big, but I guess they wanted to bring it out a little bit earlier. I thought they kind of had it set up where you bring it out early enough in its life, with both Mario Kart and Splatoon as an example, where you can basically just plan it out to have it ready again whenever the next system launches. But I guess they wanted to go in a different direction on that.
Yep. I'm excited though. I'm excited we're talking about this.
It's still crazy to me that it's been this long.
I know.
Since the Switch came out, 2017 was that long ago.
Yeah.
Over 5 years.
Should we get back into the news here? Wrap it up.
Let's do it.
I think we'll just wrap up here with our rumor roundup for the week. Our weekly
what do we got?
Frontiers segment.
Stale rumors.
This one comes way of Nintendo Life, which says a new 2D entry to the long-running Sonic the Hedgehog series is reportedly in development at Sonic Team, specifically. With no outside involvement.
Oh,
wow.
Yep.
Boy.
Yep. This
Did they make
Mania
Sonic the Hedgehog 4?
Sonic Team.
Mania was not Sonic Team.
No.
It was not. It was led by like Christian Whitehead, and Sonic Team was involved, but it was more of it was kind of like a fan project. It was really cool.
That's why it was a good game.
Can't believe that they never went back to that well. It's absolutely unbelievable to me, is what I want to say here, first of all. I don't know, when you have this team of people that would surely make another one, and then you're like, no, Sonic Team's just going to handle it, when they're already making Frontiers.
And the last game they made did not do very well.
Yeah, but
did they make Sonic the Hedgehog 4? That was Sonic Team?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh boy.
But here's more of the rumor says that the game is reportedly a follow-up to Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush.
Wow.
Much in the same way that Sonic Mania was a sequel to the classic lineup. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles will apparently be playable, making this the first modern entry to feature all three since 2004's Sonic Advance 3. So that's the rumor. A new Sonic Rush / Sonic Advance with Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles.
I feel like I played Sonic Advance.
Games?
I played Advance.
Any of those.
I did not play Rush. I think I remember, because it was a Game Boy Advance game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I played that and enjoyed it. It's been a long time.
They're good games. It's people dunk on Sonic in the 2000s, rightfully so, for what he was doing on consoles. But the handheld games were really good. Sonic Advance 1, 2, and 3 are great. And then Sonic Rush and Rush Adventure are also fantastic games. That's where Blaze the Cat was introduced, and she's the second playable character in the Rush games. And they're super fun. They use both screens, like the course you see on the top screen and bottom screen. So they feel bigger, and you can kind of keep track of the speed because they're really, really fast games. Sonic Rush specifically, like it has the boost formula like in the 3D games, but in 2D. So you're just ripping through these levels. The only thing that is total bogus. Okay, so after I read this rumor, I played some Sonic Rush this weekend, and I just started a new file. I got to the first boss. You have to hit him 8 times, and after you hit him 4 times, he starts utilizing this instant kill move that is really hard to avoid.
So regular Sonic fare.
Sonic fare. You're on this platform, and he turns into like this wheel, like this cog that hops onto the platform and then just like sits totally still and then sprints at you really fast. And if you don't use your full jump to hop over him, if he even nicks you, he bumps you off the stage, and then if you fall off the stage, it's instant death, and he resets to full health.
Oh my god.
And I was like, man, why are Sonic bosses so atrocious no matter what game you're playing? But Sonic Rush, the levels are really fun in Sonic Rush. It is a really, really great game. I never owned Rush Adventure. I still want to pick it up. But I don't know what to make of this rumor. I think it's bizarre that they never made a follow-up to Mania, which was hands down the most successful and well-liked Sonic has been in a really long time. But I'd be happy to see them go back to the 2D well. I just don't know how I feel about Sonic Team handling it.
They're going to drop the ball.
I mean, on the one hand, it's exciting that they're going to be coming up with something new because people love Mania, but from what I understand, because I didn't play those old games, a lot of it is content from those old games brought into the new generation. So it would be cool to have a bunch of new ideas. But I also would think that it would have been a better idea to have the people who are established, who made Sonic Mania as good as it was, handed off to them. Especially when you have Sonic Team with their hands full, trying to make the next Sonic game good and hit deadline. I don't know. Every time I hear of Sonic Team getting split to work on multiple things, I'm like, oh boy. So we're going to get Sonic 06 and Sonic and the Secret Rings again. Oh boy. Yeah, it's weird when you have that team that established themselves as Sonic Mania. You're just like, no thanks. We'll do our
and Sonic Origins. I'm pretty sure a Sonic Team.
That seems right because the logo is very Sonic Mania reminiscent to me.
Yeah, it's weird, but
I'd play ideas. I'd be excited to play a follow-up to Sonic Rush because that kind of well of 2D games has kind of been forgotten. Like it's been since the DS, since there's been Sonic Colors. There's the DS version was also very much like Sonic Rush, and then there's a 3DS version of Sonic Generations that was not very good.
And the Boom games, right?
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Yep. Those exist too. That's a different genre entirely. But yeah, I also was playing some Fire and Ice the other day. There's this level.
Jeez.
It was this 3D. There's some 3D levels in Sonic Boom Fire and Ice on 3DS. It's just like kind of on rails, and you're just like switching which lane you're in. It's kind of like a mobile game almost. And it was like a 2-minute level, and I saw the finish line, and I had this really cheap death where this beam of lava came out of nowhere and just killed me, and then it started me at the beginning. After a full 2-minute level.
Yep, Sonic.
Uh-oh.
I was like, wow, it's been a long time since I've been exposed to this level of garbage.
And we're going to be getting it again come wintertime.
Yep.
Hopefully come winter.
Yeah. So that's our Rumor Roundup, new 2D Sonic, follow-up to Advanced Rush in development at Sonic Team. I'm gonna take this one with a huge grain of salt right now. I don't know if I believe it. But
okay, in my head it was just news and it's coming. So
no,
I completely forgot that it was a rumor. We were just
Rumor Roundup.
Hey, Sonic Team is known for spreading themselves too thin. I can see them doing it again.
Yep,
they're all about it.
Yeah. All right.
Is that it for the news?
That is.
All right, that's gonna do it for this week's Rumor Roundup. Hot and spicy. Get excited for a new Sonic Rush. Is that what it's called? Sonic
It's just going to be called Sonic Rush.
It's kind of called Sonic Rush. It's coming to the
Super
Switch
Rush.
too.
Oh boy.
Sonic Super Rush. But we're going to move on quickly to what we've been playing this week. Some games beaten, some games started. It's a lot of exciting stuff, but we'll start with Logan, who's the least exciting out of all of us. What have you been playing this week, Logan?
Switch Sports.
Yeah, that's not very exciting.
To say, I'm turning around on it a little bit.
Really? Because I've liked
actually
it the whole time, and
I
you're
was
just a hater.
last week. I liked it. I always liked it. I was just a little on it, but been playing more local local multiplayer, and that just is where it's super fun and feels
Yeah.
like Wii Sports. And also correction from last week: you do lose rank for losing
After
matches.
you start D rank, so when you're in the E rank, you don't lose any.
Is there anything below
any
E
rank
rank
whatsoever?
or-
There's E minus, E, and E plus.
Okay.
So in
So
all three of
those-
those, you don't.
I
Lose
believe in
anything.
all three of those ranks,
Yeah.
you don't lose any. But once you get to D minus and on, you lose a minimal amount of rank every loss. So it's
Okay, that's good.
it's pretty standard, which is good because I was very concerned that I'd be locked into like C rank, where it's just my cap. But
Yeah.
if I'm bad, it'll bring me back down to D rank, which is good.
But Zach was here last weekend. We played a lot of Switch Sports. It was a super good time. I've been playing with my girlfriend, who actually likes it more than I thought she would. She's like, yeah, super simple. She likes things that are simple, not too hard to figure
Casual
out how
friendly,
to control.
yeah.
And it's just like super fun, like to play local. So I'm enjoying it a lot more. I am still playing some online. I did get to ranked in tennis, so I've been playing more of the tennis. But I still do wish there was a little more to do on my own, because I am enjoying it and wish that I could log on and like chase high scores or do something offline on my own. But as a local multiplayer game, it has been scratching that itch a little bit more in the last week than it was before. Also been playing God of War. I'm extremely close to the end. I'm really close to the end of God of War 2018.
Been years in the making.
Excited about.
4 years in the making.
Man, I really like this game now.
What? Wow, really?
Yeah, I do.
That's crazy.
I still don't think it's anything to what it was cracked up to be by everybody that's not us. Like everyone that's not us thinks this is like hands down the best game on PS4. But the story just took a big turn. I feel like I can spoil it now. It's been 4 years. So spoilers for God of War if you're like me and haven't played it. But Atreus just learned that he's a god and is like super annoying and cocky and rude now, and I did not see that coming in the story, so that was a pretty interesting change. And so now we're climbing back up the mountain, and I feel like I'm really nearing the end of this thing. I love the Blades of Chaos as the new combat. There's this really cool boss fight where there's like a fire giant and an ice giant, but when you attack one, the other one heals it, and like their health like meets up. So you can basically choose if you want to use the axe or use the blades to attack the one you prefer. So that was a super cool boss fight. So yeah, I'm enjoying God of War a lot. And this is insane, but I'm thinking about playing Ragnarok now. I wasn't before,
and then you're gonna get Ragnarok and pay full price and wait 4 years.
Wait 4 years.
Oh my god! If you give up on Ragnarok for 4 years, I'm gonna be so mad at you.
All they have to do is not put in the bogus fight in the dark.
Okay, for real. So I turned down the difficulty to easy this time, right? To play it. I'm like, I'm going to turn it down to easy, just get through the story. But then after I beat the boss in the dark, I cranked it back up to the difficulty the normal difficulty. I have not had any problems since.
Yeah, I don't know what was
it's
up
the
with
hardest
that boss,
part of the game.
But when I beat
Yeah.
that, I was at a sliver of hell.
Yeah, I also beat him with a sliver.
I ran into too much resistance beyond that.
Yeah.
That's pretty early on, too.
It's extremely early on. It's like the second major boss of the game. It's really early for how hard that is. But
just don't bring that back.
Yeah, and then Elden Ring is also what I've been chipping away at. Played a little bit more multiplayer of that with Zach, which has been stressful. Nothing new to say. Still an outstanding time.
We get invaded every 10 minutes. It's not fun getting invaded all the time, just constantly. Whenever we're trying to do something, some dude just rolls in, kills Logan, and then teabags him. It's just ridiculous.
Taking it back to like 2007.
It's not teabagging, it's emoting. So they like sit on his like where he died, or like they bow or they pray.
Yeah,
it's great. It's just fantastic. Still a lot of fun though.
That's it for me though.
All right, that's it for Logan. I'll go next. Couple new things. I bought some pretty cheap games physically, so I decided to start playing them, even though I've got the biggest backlog out of all of us, probably. Is that true?
We've all got a big, I think.
God, it feels like it. Everyone's got a mountain of backlog.
And it's ever growing.
Yeah, exactly. But I was scrolling Amazon, saw The Walking Dead Definitive Edition on PS4 for like $15 when it's like 40 digitally or 50 digitally or however it is full price. So I decided to buy that because I've been wanting to go in and play it with the new graphics. The deep blacks, I believe, is the big change. Still And it came with like a $5 or a 5 GB update, which I'm like, okay, that's definitely the patch, because I remember hearing the graphics were pretty broken when it first came out. And then I logged in, and of course the graphics are like flickering and it's like a little buggy. I'm like, it's fine. So I started playing the first season, and I'm on the last episode, and I still love it. It's in my top 10 games of all time. It gives me very 2012 nostalgia. I think that's the game of that year for me. Yeah, it just takes me back to like early high school. But yeah, this game's fantastic. Still love the story. Still finding some new dialogue options that I've never heard before, that I'm just like, oh, that's weird that I've never heard that before. But yeah, almost done with that. I don't know if I'm going to replay all of them. It takes a good amount of time. They're decently long games. And like I said, I've got a huge backlog. But going back and playing the first season for $15 with the new graphics. And it also comes with some commentary, some concept art that I've never seen before, some character viewers. So some good additions. I don't know if I'd pay full price for it, but I guess it does come with 4 games plus all the DLC. So if you're really into the series, or you haven't played it before, I definitely would think full price would be a good way to go. But yeah, it is cheap on Amazon right now, so I recommend picking it up. That was a lot of fun to just dive back into. And then other than that, I was at GameStop and I saw Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate for like $20 and on PS5, like the PS5 case. So I was like, oh, I've been wanting to dive into that. So I bought that, started playing it, and then like had this huge Mortal Kombat day where I went back and learned a lot about the series and watched some of the movies. And
Classic. That's the Zach classic.
Exactly. Learned a lot about the series. And I forgot how much I liked Mortal Kombat, because I played 10 way back when I first got a PS4 back in like 2015, 2016, and put like 80 hours into it, which is pretty rare for fighting games nowadays, because I'm not super into the online, modes in these more modern fighting games. And if you're looking for single player content, Mortal Kombat 11 has kind of become the go-to, or Mortal Kombat in general, the series has been the go-to for a huge amount of single player content. So
Cool.
I went in, I started the story mode. It's a lot of fun. The story is really entertaining. The fights and the combat is really good. The Mortal Kombat is really good. It's got towers that you can fight through. I haven't done a lot.
Stupid.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of
joke.
funny, because a lot of the things in this universe that have like words that have C's in them, they just switch with K's, and it seems to be random. Like some words with C's don't get changed to K's, and some do. So it's a kind of weird, but it's really funny to just watch the subtitles to see what random word gets swapped with a K. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I beat the story mode, the main story mode for the base game. Ultimate also comes with the big DLC story mode called Aftermath, which I haven't played yet. But yeah, having a lot of fun with this. It feels good to get back into a fighting game that actually has single player content, because a lot of the modern fighting games like Guilty Gear Strive, King of Fighters, even Tekken 7 had a good amount of story mode, but it wasn't very good story mode. So it's nice to actually have a good single player story mode in a fighting game. So it's been a lot of fun. And yeah, like I said, I watched the 95 movie. I watched like the 2021 movie. Did a lot of research on the old games, because I haven't played anything before Mortal Kombat 10. And that's like 9 whole games that I don't really know anything about.
Games.
But when they rebooted the franchise at 9, it's just like a whole new timeline. So I didn't have a whole lot to get caught up on. So that's good. And Mortal Kombat 11 is all about, multiverses and alternate timelines. So they were ahead of the curve there. They beat Marvel to it. So that's good. Yeah, having a lot of fun with that. That's been it for me. Kevin, anything good? Anything bad?
Good.
Saints Row.
Some smaller stuff. I beat a short story game called What Comes After. I'm going to be honest, I was kind of disappointed with it.
What is that? I've heard of it.
Yeah, I remember seeing someone post about it, just on Twitter or something, and be like, if you like short, heartfelt story, just dialogue games, then here you go.
I love
the
those.
game for you. So I picked it up on sale and finally got around to playing it. And so first off, it is very short. Like less than an hour.
Oh wow.
Which is very short.
What?
It's an hour or less. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's incredibly short, for one. And two, the translation is not good. It is not good. And this is beyond just like some misspellings here and there. Like the grammar is off on some of this stuff. And even when the grammar is correct, it's not how people would talk
Sure.
a lot of the time. Like you can tell that this was translated over. Like the sign of a good translation is when you're reading it in your language and it feels like that's what it was originally written in. But you can feel with this game that it was brought over and that it's not a great job. Like there are so many times I'm like, no one would say that, or you're saying this over and over. Like we're talking about like people dying and there's just this same like rote phrase of like, oh, I'm sorry, over and over and over again. And the big issue is that the story is all it has. That is the entire game. There is not even any gameplay element. Like Valhalla had the mixing drinks thing. God, what was that other one? It was a mobile game originally, but that one had its own little like small mini games that you could do that had some form of gameplay. This is all story, and the translation is not good. So
Dang.
I was disappointed with that a little bit. A little underwhelming. I'm glad I got it on sale because it was short and man, I was just reading it and my brain had to just like correct it. I was correcting lines left and right to make it sound more natural. So,
wow.
Yeah. Can't say I'd recommend it unless there's like a really deep sale. Like if it's $1 or something, like, hey, give it a shot. But
how much did you pay for it?
I think it's $6 normally, and I got it half off. So it's like $3. So I mean, like in the grand scheme of things, it's not like I dropped a bunch of money on it or anything. But even at that point, for an hour of a story that's pretty poorly translated, I find it hard to recommend because it takes a lot of the emotion out of it. You're trying to like, get emotionally attached to these characters that have died or something, and it's just like no one talks like this. So yeah, that was disappointing. Been cracking on my 3DS, been picking up a couple of things, picked up some virtual console stuff, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis,
nice. Super Rush?
No, not Super Rush, no. Picked up some of those Game Freak titles, the Rhythm Game and Pocket Card Jockey was one of the other ones. Harmonite was the other one I picked up. And I'm planning to pick up a couple of more before the credit card goes away. Since I've got my stuff paired, it doesn't really matter. I can wait a little bit longer. But I decided to try Rhythm Thief out for a little bit, and it's a cute little rhythm game. It's got a story like an Ace Attorney type of deal. Obviously, nowhere near as in depth as that, but it's relatively high budget for what it is. Like it has animated, like anime cutscenes in there with voice acting. Not the greatest voice acting, but it's 3DS game from 2013. So what do you expect? But it's kind of surprised me in some ways with how far they went with it in some areas. And the rhythm for the most part has been fun, except for the times when it wants you to use the gyro. And it is kind of rough to do the gyro in rhythm. That doesn't work so well, but the other rhythm games have been fun, and it's done a good job of switching things up with how it does rhythm. It's not just like a very simple rhythm game where you're just following like colored notes or something. It's always some sort of gameplay thing. Like you're a thief, so you have to like hide behind plants and things to hide from security guards, and you have to do that into the beat, into the rhythm. And they do a good job of mixing it up from at least the first couple of chapters. So that's been fun to play that for a bit. And then last, I decided to hop into Saints Row 4, Reelected on Switch. Yes. Bought that for $3 when they had that crazy sale. So I was like, hey, I'll hop in and give it a shot. And I also wanted to play the DLC because I've never played the DLC. I only had the base game back in the day. So there was Into the Dominatrix and Christmas DLC that I've heard are quite good. So I want to play those. But it's been fun going back. It brings me back to 2015, something when I played it. It's crazy that game turns 10 years old next year. Came out in 2013 is
Wow.
absolutely wild. But yeah, it's been a good time. It runs well on Switch. I mean, it should run well. It's originally a 360 PS3 game and got ported over to PS4 and Xbox One. So it runs pretty well. Runs pretty smooth as well too. Like the resolution is solid enough, and there hasn't really been any frame rate issues or stuttering or anything. So that's been nice. That's what I always worry about with third party stuff on Switch. Yeah, it's just been fun to hop back in. It's not my preferred Saints Row. I'd rather be playing Saints Row 2. But since I don't have a way to play it, since it's not really available on consoles besides Xbox, really, those older games, it's been fun to go back. And I'm getting more and more excited for the reboot of Saints Row. They released new footage of that just the other day. So yeah, that's been fun to hop back into that for a little while. And that's been it for me.
Sweet.
Yeah. All right.
Still picking up Strikers on day one?
As of now, planning to, unless they release something that's like, oh God,
I need people to play with.
I am concerned about it not having like a lot of content.
Yeah.
Because I'm not super like online all the time playing these games. So I'm kind of worried that there's not going to be anything for me to do single player. And then I'll just like
the cup battles are back. The cup battles are in the game. They showed the main menu and it was like grudge match, cup battle, online. So the cup battles are there.
All right. I'll have something to do. Definitely be picking it up. All right. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
We got some breaking news. Not breaking news. First PS5 bundle was just announced.
Oh.
So, yeah.
Uncharted 4.
Horizon
official
Forbidden
bundle.
West. Yeah, official.
Have they
on the box?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Not like one of those GameStop bundles where it's like you have to pay $800 to get one. No, it's like it's I think $550 to get a PS5 controller and Horizon Forbidden West. So with new packaging, a cool Horizon PS5 box. But yeah, stock is turning around.
Standard looking PS5 though, not like a special edition.
Yeah, standard.
Yeah.
I saw PS5s in a store for the first time.
Oh my God.
No, I still haven't.
Yeah, there was only one. But I saw it.
Was it digital or physical?
Physical.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a brand new one either. Every single one that I've seen is used and
I was gonna see if somebody I knew needed one, but then a guy was buying it, and I was like, "Oh well, there it goes."
Yeah, like that. You've got to be there and like currently buying. You can't wait on that. I'm sure that if anything ends up in stores, at least for a little while, they're going to be snatched up almost instantly.
Yep.
But that's exciting though, to finally have that after how long? Coming up on 2 years.
Is that a Target?
Shout out to Target.
Shout out.
Zach, anything from you?
They should release more like special edition or collector's edition like PS5 plates so you can like have cool like designed plates that you can swap in and out. But it's way easier than just buying an Uncharted 4 PS4 that I'll never have.
But are they going to do that when they know that they're going to get suckers to to buy the whole console again?
Yeah.
I just want cool looking plates.
Yeah, I hope that they do more just beyond the colors, do actual like branded ones for certain games. That'd be super cool. Because I want to have
mix and match for your like two favorite games.
Yeah, I'd like to have a decked out console for a series that I like, but I'm never in the market for one when those come out. And I'm not going to be buying a whole other system, especially when it's not even a different system. It's the exact same thing.
Yeah,
I'm not going to be doing that. So it'd be nice to have a cheaper option.
Yeah.
Than a special edition. All right, that's going to do it for us on this week's episode of Oda Games. We're here on Thursdays or Fridays on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, other podcast streaming services that you may use. OdaGames.com as well has the audio version. YouTube at Oda Games has the video version of the podcast. You can check it out there. We're on Twitter at Oda Games. You can send an email to odagamescast@gmail.com. For Logan and Zach, I'm Kevin. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.